Hello and welcome to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hershey, and you're listening to our very first episode. Whether you're a moving enthusiast, just curious about the industry, or want to get a couple good laughs, you're in the right place. So let's just dive in with a couple intro. Today I got 4 amazing moving company owners with me. To start off this first episode, why don't you go ahead, Matt, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Matthew Young from I Haul, I Move, also personal touch pioneer, Moving Letters AI.
Hello, my name is Austin Yarbrough with Central Coast Moving and Storage.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Josh Shipman with Coastal Carrier Moving and Storage located in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikhil Murdoch with Murdoch's Moving and Storage. I'm located in Chico, California.
Woo! Let's go, Nick.
All right. Thanks, guys. We're going to keep this really straightforward. I have a series of questions, and you know what? We're all ears. But let's not get carried away. If you're going on too long, you might just get the snip.
There we go.
Remember, we're all about keeping our audience awake
Mark, so
and
corny.
engaged here. Let's not put them to sleep on Movified.
Yes.
Every hero has an origin story. Maybe began as a truck helper, started driving, worked behind a desk, or just woke up one day and thought, I want to own a moving company. So share with me and our eager listeners your origin tale. But before you do, Matt, what is the wildest thing you have found under a mattress? I mean, come on. It must be a gold mine under there.
Yeah.
When you're on a move, let's keep it real. Let's hear it.
Oh, yeah. So I was moving a lady one time. We go to move her mattress, and they make these sex toys now out of glass. I mean, it's probably been a thing for a while. This thing was a monster. I'm talking a foot and a half or something, right? There's no way it's humanly possible,
Was it
right?
double-sided or just...
I can't remember. I can't recall. But what was creepy about it, it wasn't just that. Once we went to her closet to get some boxes, she had a collection of the glass. It was like one of those weed smokers that has bongs everywhere or something, right? So that was the craziest thing. Austin, you got something?
You know, I think a lot of movers, they probably have a similar story with like sex toys and whatnot. I don't think anything comes to mind that is outrageous beyond that. Maybe some paraphernalia every once in a while. Some dust bunnies. But it is funny, to touch on those little old ladies with all those sex toys and they're hidden in their house. I'll pass it on to Josh.
Yeah, I haven't lifted any mattresses and found anything, but I was doing sales and I had a claim come through, and one of the finials on an antique bed set had been lost. And we had already contacted a woodworker and we're going to hand carve it. She wanted, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 to replace the whole set. And I was like, there's no way. This isn't happening. So I go over to her house. I'm like, where were the other 3 finials? And she said, well, they put them in the drawer of the nightstand. And I said, well, when they tip things over, I've found things behind the drawer. Is it okay if I go over? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay, I'll be over in a little bit. You would have thought, this guy's about to go through my nightstand drawer. And once again, found something.
What'd you find,
and
Josh?
she's standing on top of me. She's got a drawer full of items that she used during her personal time. And
You're so polite. You're so polite.
But she's standing on top of me. She's right there, and I'm like, I'm pulling out the drawer, and it's full, and I'm looking back at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm thinking of a scene from something, but she's just looking at me like, have you found the finial yet? That was her big concern, but it was awkward. It was awkward. I was embarrassed.
Like, what kind of face did you have to make in that moment?
I found the finial. I kept it moving. I'm not, I'm not entertaining any thoughts. She's 70. It's like,
Oh my
this
gosh.
isn't a episode of something that I want to participate in. So I just kept it moving. I found the finial, saved the claim, and left. That was it. It was time to go.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
Let's go, Nick.
I have a couple that come to mind. So I remember one time we were...
Your mattress?
No. I'm squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean in that regard, huh?
No, we were moving this...
Money.
we're from a college town, and we were moving this college-aged girl. And, I'm actually personally on this job. It was early in my career. And I pick up this box and set it down, getting ready to move it, and it starts vibrating away. I'm like, what is going on? Like, we had to inspect, like, what's in this box? And then, of course, the customer gets all embarrassed, opens it up, and it's just, series of vibrators that just have gone off in this box. And it's just vibrating away. Like, this box was physically moving on its own. And we were all just looking at each other like, what? And then another time, real quick, was we were moving this 4-post bed, and they had left the handcuffs on it.
Were they fuzzy?
No, they were actually like industrial grade handcuffs.
Man, we sound so sexist right now. Like, we're so weird.
I mean, you would think like you would take those off, right? Like,
yeah,
but it didn't bother me. That shit doesn't bother me. So
yeah,
nobody's found any money. Why is everybody found the exact same thing?
Right
is that
now.
What everybody remembers?
Yeah,
it just stands out.
We were on a job site, and when we lifted up the mattress, we actually just found posters. We thought, oh, this person's just a collector of this one stripper. And then in walks the guy's sister, and it's the stripper. It was the actual stripper. So we're like, can you sign it? Can we have a copy?
Yeah.
I found guns, that wasn't uncommon, It's like, bro, get a safe.
All right, we got the icebreaker done. I love it. Thanks, guys. Yep. Now, back to the origin story. Austin, Nick, I mean, you guys started a moving company while you guys were going to college. Your parents are thinking you're going to become doctors, lawyers. Instead, they find this disappointment because now you're movers. Give us a little bit of backstory. Austin, why don't you start it off?
Let's go, Austin.
It all started in a little town, Chico, California. The Harvard of the West, they call it, actually, folks.
There we go.
So the origin story, I actually was working at a chicken place. Flipping chicken in college, that's just the only job I could get. And saw this guy that worked at my gym that I went to, pulled up right beside me one day in my car, and in this big white moving truck, 2 men and a truck. I was like, this is the most dumb, simple, corny name. Of course, I'm from San Luis Obispo, and Meathead Movers is the biggest independent moving company in California. And so I was like, oh, they're all corny. So, I went ahead, I called this office to apply so much that they knew my name by the time I walked in. And, that just kind of goes with like, I ended up loving this industry. At 2.5 years later, I went, sorry, I'm going a little long on this one, guys. 2.5 years later, I find myself, my family's like, why don't you try starting your own? Like everyone's family, I'm sure all my guys get that shit. And I was like, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of shit, man. And so, I was like, I need some extra cash. I might as well just start on Craigslist. So the origin story starts with Moving Bros. That's the original. It was like that basic couch with 2 stick figures at an angle, 45-degree angle. And the next I just did some Craigslist jobs, $80 an hour for two movers, professional movers, college movers. And then I would say probably about, 4 months of that, my dad finds this moving truck in Pacific Grove on Mother's Day. And my dad helps me. It's like, that diesel emission fluid stuff's going on. They're giving away these trucks. And I was like, shit, why not? I don't follow all the rules. $4,500, and I was into the game, baby.
Nice. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, so me and Austin actually went to the same college, Chico State, and I'd gotten laid off from my job at Dish Network. I was a satellite tech, and I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do.
Sounds like a backstory behind that one.
Yeah. So I had a good buddy of mine at the time was like, "Yo, why don't you get a trailer and start just hauling trash? You make $500 a day and you're doing good." And then all of a sudden, people were like, "Yo, can you move this piece of furniture for me? Point A to point B." I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" So he started moving things, on the trailer, and then it just kind of morphed into, I bought an old decommissioned U-Haul, started moving stuff in that. Of course, it's, real clunky at the beginning, right? Just breaking shit along the way. But for some reason, customer service was, still decent enough to build up that 5-star rep. And then it just kind of evolved into, what you see today, a multi-million-dollar moving operation. So
great, man. Congrats.
That's awesome. What about you, Josh?
I actually came from a restaurant background, and a good friend of mine who ended up being my mentor, he tried to recruit me for quite a period. I had moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I had been a general manager and supervisor for multi-units for both Domino's and Papa John's. So I had a customer service background and managerial background, and he just talked up sales. And I had a preconceived notion of what a salesman looked like, that they were not the most reputable people. But he continued to do it. And later in life, I had gone back to school, and he said, well, just come on part-time. And I actually fell in love with the industry. I was able to bring a lot of the systems that I learned in a corporate world, because he was an independent mover, and he was in a great area, and, it just blew up. It was an industry that I love from the moment once it gets in your blood.
You're in for life, baby.
Blood
in, blood out.
Definitely. Well, West Coast, yeah. So maybe you guys are on the East Coast. Well, I don't know. But it was just something that I enjoyed. And even after over a decade in the industry, I still find myself learning a great bit, and being able to apply just a real good moral code to what we do at our company, and try to surround myself with like-minded people. So I'm really happy to be in this industry.
That's awesome. Yeah. So kind of like these guys too, my brother had a moving company all throughout high school. So he said, him and his partner split up, and he says, hey man, take this ad and the little Thrifty Nickel, or the little local paper. So I took the ad and basically said, I'm going to just run with it, right? Knew nothing about it. After I'd already worked for him for a couple years, folks at a furniture store. So I go ahead. Dad says, here's a little 14-foot truck from his little furniture operation. It had no ramp, no nothing. Started hauling trash kind of like Murdoch here. And also was, trying to do the moving game, man. $55 an hour, 2 guys. I'd walk away. I'd go to the nightclub like on a Friday night after a long day, 10 hours on a move, right? And my friends, at that point weren't doing crazy good, right? And I'd walk up, $400 in my pocket, acting like I was the fucking richest person in the world, right? Just because I had $400 in my pocket, I didn't know anything, right? And I was 21 at the time, so it was 2008. But it was just such a feeling, you know what I mean? But now it ain't shit, right? I mean, I didn't know anything that came with all that stuff. I didn't really get serious to it for a while now, but so we've been in business 15 years. So that's kind of the quick little origin story for me, man.
Did you, real quick, Matt, did you ever put up the flyers with the little tear-offs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to do that,
I
right?
did that,
At the apartments with the phone numbers?
I kept one, yeah.
You got to do those, man.
You said you were in high school, or your brother was in high school?
Sorry. So I was in high school.
Was he running a moving company while in high school?
No. So
that would be awesome.
Right?
That would be awesome.
I was in high school working for his company. So he's 7 years older than me. And so I kind of learned some of the tricks of the trade from him. Yeah. And then folks just being in the furniture store all through my childhood. So, we were doing I was doing deliveries for them when I was like 13, 14, you know what I mean? Make enough money to buy a PlayStation game or something, right? So, but yeah, never had a real job. So just been my own boss forever. And so I guess I probably can't appreciate it as much as some of you, so.
Now, in situations like Josh or myself that have already came into a company that's got a name.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about marketing. We learn about marketing. It's all about how we are doing stuff on SEO, on our websites, on Google. But it all starts sometimes with the name. Like, when I look at Matt's company, you got iHaul, copying maybe U-Haul's twin brother. It's a crazy name, but I know it didn't come from U-Haul.
Yeah.
Or you think of the story with Austin and how'd you get Central Coast on that side, or Murdoch's. It's one of those names where it identifies you. Right? Yeah. You have to pick that moving company name that you're going to run with.
Yeah.
Lots of people just use their last name. Lots of people just get creative. But what made you guys have that name? Like, how did you decide I'm going to pick that name? Matt?
Yeah. So I actually just super into technology, super Apple fanboyish, you know what I mean? And so for me at the time, it's 2008. iPhone just came out the year before. I mean, I'm the type of guy who sleeps over 19 hours to wait for the original iPhone, right? Made the front page of the local newspaper. So I'm the guy who's like, okay, cool. So I life, you know what I mean? I everything, right? So I said, I haul, because I haul trash, and I move furniture. So that was the I haul, I move. But Mark, it's funny you kind of bring up U-Haul. We still get calls all day. Hey, I'm coming to pick up my trailer, this and that, right? So we still do get it. But Austin, how'd you come up with Central Coast?
So it's actually not that long of a story. I'll keep it short on this one, guys.
Yeah.
I had a couple ideas. The one I remember was like Minotaur Movers. I wanted something bold, but then I was like, you know what? Central Coast Surfboards. This local place. I loved it, and it had a ring to it. And then I was like, Central Coast Moving? I was like, Central Coast Moving. That sounds big, Central Coast Moving sounded like a big territory, like a professional service. And that was the story. Pretty much went with it. Now I'm married to it for life, baby. Love it.
Let's go.
Central Coast Moving. Let's go. Woo.
Nick, you're up.
Well, as you pointed out earlier, I just went with the old last name. My original moving company, actually it was my trash hauling company, was Murdoch's Affordable Hauling, but we're no longer affordable, so we got rid of that.
Unfortunately, right?
And just went with Murdoch's Moving and Storage. I've thought about changing it. We're so married to the name now, but I've toyed with like Smooth Moves or stuff like that.
But you also got a logo that is bright green. It's a moving box. It looks like you got gold in the middle of it. So what is that? Like you had to obviously come up with a logo.
Yeah, that I worked with my original graphic designer on that one. Obviously I'm Irish, Scottish Irish, and we're thinking about the pot of gold and how we can really incorporate that into the logo.
That's cool.
And so she's a lot more creative than I am. I'm just a dumb old mover. So she created the logo, and it's kind of it's a great logo, but it's difficult because when you go to embroider it, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Like to get that yellow, white, and all those different colors. So it's almost like bittersweet.
It's unique though, and it stands out. So that's good. That's good.
The trucks pop everywhere I go. They're like, I see your trucks. I don't want to see them that much.
Yeah.
But that's always the funny part, right? It's you come up with the name, you come up with the logo, and then you're like, okay, this is going to look horrible on a t-shirt. Or how do I get this on a hat?
Yeah.
How is it going to look like on business cards, on brochures? Like there's a lot that goes into it, and you haven't even started day one of your moving company. You're just flying by your seat of your pants going, like, how am I going to do this? And try and find those people out there, especially back in the day when you didn't have things like AI and, easy access to people online to find these marketing tools. You had to hunt them down, pay big money just to get some type of branding, right? And when we talk about branding, trying to get your name out there is even harder. So I know before you guys were all talking about, you went on Craigslist, you did little coupon tear-offs with your phone number stapled to that telephone pole where it says, I've lost my cat and I want to do moving underneath.
Yeah.
What kind of marketing tactics did you guys do in the very beginning of your moving companies?
I guess like the first beginning phases were just like, Yelp. I know that I got a bunch of reviews. I was working at that 2-man in a truck company that, Yelp was number one, Craigslist, posting, and it's like every single day, sometimes even twice a day. Those are the two like early ones that I did. I obviously made some flyers and stuff, but I felt like those are the ones actually getting like the real clients actually moving. Those are my
Craigslist was kind of a shit show. Do you remember that? Like
shit, man.
We'd have to post, and then there's a guy in my area that would he calls himself the junk pig, and he would literally post about 15 different times in Craigslist back to back to back. I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna post one more, and it would be like this war of like staying on top of Craigslist. Is Craigslist still around? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I still post on it.
No, you don't.
No, I got.
You can still find employees on it.
Oh.
You can find a lot on there.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. You get 15, 20 employees. One's a gold mine. So you got to weed through them. But we've gotten a few good people. We have it was past couple of years was tough. Labor was tough. Any avenue that we could find to get employees, we were trying it. So it helped. It helped. East Coast.
I just prefer to pay Indeed thousands of dollars for my inadequate candidates.
Yeah, we weren't getting good results, and we were spending a lot of money, so we got creative. And it's old school creative. It wasn't anything new. We didn't do anything new, but we had heard that people were still using it, so we gave it a shot, and we actually got couple good employees.
Josh, did you have any, back to that one question about the original name, do you have any history about Coastal Carrier's name?
The original founder of the company started it in Wilmington, North Carolina. He was a big history buff, so they always loved to tell us the story about the dish barrel and where it got its name from. And that was the ships that came across, and they'd use an actual dish, an actual barrel, the same size as dishes, to put china in. Because, China, you kept your china through generations. Nowadays, we see people just giving away china. It's not as valuable. So he incorporated the ship as part of it. His dream was to just go up and down the coast and open up locations. He got out of the business and sold it to the person who mentored me, and we were actually able to open up locations along the coast. So Coastal Carriers, and the sailboat signifies the original transportation of items across the sea. So kind of cool, I thought.
And you're telling me earlier today that when you came on board, they didn't even have T-shirts or hats. Like, their marketing was out in left field.
Yeah, the crew had T-shirts. They'd order them once a year. But it wasn't the company wasn't as big as it is now. So, some of the T-shirts, they weren't the greatest looking shirt. You could tell who had been an employee at the company for a while. I remember when I was going on estimates, I said, "Hey, we've got to get something to give the customer. We can't just show up at their house, take their information, and not leave them anything." So I had somebody. I did the tear off business cards. I made them myself. We were not tech savvy whatsoever. We were using all the standardized paperwork from the Utilities Commission in North Carolina. They regulated all the paperwork that you had. And then I got red school folders and printed out an Avery label with Coastal Carrier Moving and Storage and stuck it on there. And then I'd Xerox information off of the FSMCA and the North Carolina Utilities Commission, and I'd put it in there. And I would leave that. And then I started seeing other movers and their beautiful brochures. So I started, I helped the company grow in professionalism. Marketing, the best thing I ever did during slow season. I remember the Intracoastal Realty, which is a big real estate agency, they put out their top producers. So when it got slow and I didn't have anything to do, I'd call them all up. I'd start at the top. I'd say, "Hey, can I come by, drop off some information? We're a local company, and we've got relationships with some of the biggest realtors in the area from that have been giving us jobs for 10, 15 years now." So kind of, just doing the shoe leather, putting it out there myself.
Nice.
Yep.
Love it. Now, you guys all are located in warmer climates. I'm located in Vancouver. I get about 4 weeks a year of actual hot weather.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm joking. We got some decent time. But you can only imagine, we're talking about shirts, we're talking about branding. How many times as an owner have you driven by or you see your crew and they are not wearing your shirt, let alone even wearing a shirt?
Yes.
I've ran into that. Yeah, it bugs me. It irritates the hell out of me. It's like, I spend good money for these shirts. You got to wear them.
Yeah.
I remember one time they were doing, they were at our facility, but I showed up and about 8 of them had their shirt off, loading up some containers. I'm like, "Where are your shirts?"
Yeah,
all right, Magic Mike, let's go.
Now, did you make a calendar?
I took some pictures. It's in the works.
Oh, man. That's going to be good. No, I'm like Nick, man. Yeah. So they'll always, especially in the winter, I can't keep up with, enough jackets for them, right? It's just so dang expensive. So I'll give them one, and the next thing you know, I'm like, "Hey, where'd it go?"
Oh,
I lost it. I left it on the truck. And these things are like $40-$50 to get made, they're not cheap. And so by the time you give them out to everybody, you start racking up the bills, man.
Well, that's the worst.
Yeah. And
I totally
I bet
forgot
it
my
there.
shirt. Oh, I forgot my jacket. Oh, yeah, you go by a job site and you find out that there's like 3 jackets still sitting there in a corner that they're not wearing. Or the best, I love it. They show up with a sweater on, and you're like, "Where's your shirt?" "Oh, it's underneath my sweater." Okay, great. Can you take off your sweater? Yeah, no problem. How about just get like a sweater, like a thin sweater, and put your shirt over top? Like, that'll keep you warm.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about that. Right? And then you next day they show up and they're back again. They're wearing some like Adidas sweater over top, and you're in. Oh no, I got my shirt on. It's like a constant, right? Like big babysitting game.
Oh yeah, I had one employee. I'm like, "Where's your sweatshirt, man?" "Oh, my girlfriend's cat shit on it and she threw it away."
Oh my God.
What? Get rid of the cat. Get rid of the girlfriend. Get your sweatshirt.
We've gone as far as we've got short sleeve. We do a dry fit short sleeve. We do a long sleeve dry fit that the guys love, and they wear those a lot. And we get them printed up in bulk pretty cheap. And then a sweatshirt, the worst we have. It's super hot and humid, and all these young men, Generation Iron, they're all lifting weights, and the style for a second there was to cut the sleeves off and make a tank top out of it. So I'm showing up on jobs. Yeah, I mean, guys are, I've got my shirt on. Dude, you've ruined that shirt. It's got the thin straps on it. And I'm just like, well, get us muscle shirts. And I'm like, no, that's not how we're showing up at these people's houses.
I love that, Josh. Like, I mean, I always get that from my guys too. Like, it gets hot in Paso Robles, California, like 100 plus, and they want to get us some muscle shirts. And well, no, professionals do not wear muscle shirts, guys. So I mean, what I do to this day, I make them put their initials on the outside of shit, on the back. And if they don't have it, I'll just send them home or make them do push-ups and earn it. Straight up, dude. I get it's so disrespectful. I'm like, take your sweater off, dude. Sorry, man. It sucks. It's cold. That's like, I feel like the biggest frustration with moving company owners and their guys not wearing the right stuff is it's just disrespectful. And it's like getting them to understand like that to be respectful about, your clothing and your stuff, like we put a lot of energy. Like I spend hours and hours to fuck with these shirts, doing all this for them so they can look good.
Totally.
Sorry, guys. We were trying to get some lights here. It's getting a little dark.
I heard Matt likes it after dark.
I do, guys. How'd you know?
This is part 2, right?
Yeah, I don't know,
Movers
guys.
After Dark.
We're going to get Movers After Dark. This is part 2. Getting a little more intimate. Mark's got some more questions for you
I gotta
guys.
go.
I thought you were going to poop or something, man.
No, I'm not doing Movers After Dark.
Just no way tonight.
The Mover's gone wild.
No,
Okay.
it's great. It's great. We're coming into like the fall. It's winter time. We were playing golf earlier today, talking about what that industry looks like right now for us. We start a company. We're in there for a couple months. I mean, what fears were going through your minds when you first, you got your first truck? You're out there. We've talked about the branding. We got the T-shirts. We got the business cards. We got those Craigslist ads out there. But, I mean, shit's getting real, right? Like, the phones aren't ringing. You're trying to hustle. You're trying to keep your guys on staff. And that's sometimes the toughest part. It's like, sure, I'm busy month end. Sure, I'm busy mid-month. What am I doing in between those days? I really want to expand, maybe get a second truck. But, I mean, those first couple months, like, what's going through your mind when you have, the truck payments that you're worrying about, or, you're renting that storage location or anything that's going through? Like, start it off, Matt. Like, tell me, like, the first, 6 months of getting your moving company started. Give me some ups and downs.
Yeah. So, obviously with my pops giving me a truck and kind of believing in me, the first whole year was all about just grinding enough to just make enough money to go buy a truck, right? And we found a truck finally. It was out in San Jose. Go pick it up. We drive it back. The whole works, right? Through that, though, I had a roommate back then that I was like, when I first started the company, who kind of had helped me. But the funny thing is, he reported me to the Public Utilities Commission, said I was hiring illegals. They come up to me and said, "Hey, you moved furniture again." it's $10,000 fine.
Oh,
So I
shit.
had a choice either to do it illegally and face the wrath, right, that I had thought would come, or to grab life by the balls and step up like a man, right? Not just be doing cash jobs and little side jobs and thinking it was enough. So Jason, if you watch this, I thank you very much for doing that for me, because it made me grow as a person and say, hey, let me go get an LLC. Let me go be registered with the PUC. Let me go drive it. Like, I'm not going to fail because someone else is pushing me down, right? So it's not quite the first 6 months, and I'm sorry if I spun it off, but it kind of adapts into some of those kind of challenges in those initial phases that you face kind of doing this. Austin, I bet you have some more. Right?
Oh yeah, man. I always have stuff to say. You guys know that.
Let's go.
I guess like, those first 6 months, I kind of think of like the first 6 months when I moved back home to Paso Robles, California, because I started this business in college in Chico, and then like the first real 6 months, like my mom is like, you should go work for this electrician. And I'm like, fuck that, Like I'm trying to make this shit, I'm just like. I really think it was like getting lean and mean with marketing, yard signs, all that stuff. I didn't have much payments on overhead. Keep it simple, stupid is what they say, KISS, the acronym. But it really is like when you're starting out, like make it through the winter, you keep travel light, don't make the investments that you don't need at that time. What do you need to make it through the next 6 months? And then tap into that and go as hard as you can on what you can do. But yeah, getting desperate, going to storage facilities, doing all this, like I didn't even know in the beginning of the industry it was cyclical. I mean, I guess real estate, but like you don't know that getting into this game. I didn't really understand it at that point, and it was like really frustrating. But I think that downtime is really when you got to work on everything. You should be busier during the winter months than during the summer months, man. Pass it over to Josh.
That's a good point.
I was very fortunate when I came into the industry because, we still had our slower months, but we're in a warmer climate. One of the areas that we serviced, everything's popping there during the summer, so nobody moved during the summer because if they had a property there, they could rent it out during the summer. It was a beach town. So wintertime, one branch supported the other. And it was kind of vice versa. So we didn't do that. But I think it's really interesting how you brought up when you were smaller and didn't have the revenue to do some of the big time marketing. Because we've got the revenue now, but the results aren't there. And we've gone back to the fundamentals, and we're getting better results out of relationships, personal visits, shoe leather, just being present in the community, supporting events in the community. That does more than a lot of the big money, big brand marketing has done.
I think COVID kind of really stepped in there.
Super changed.
Everybody just jumped in. Let's do everything online, and that one-on-one, grassroots marketing kind of went away. Everybody heavily relied on the Facebook ads, the Instagram ads, TikTok.
Did you have to market during COVID?
You didn't. The business
that was it.
that was it.
That was it. It was you made another great point. It's work on your business during the COVID years. It was hold on.
Yeah.
It was hold on. Do the best you can. Hopefully you can fill the trucks every day with people because labor was super tough.
Yeah.
There was
shut down.
There was more business than you were able to do. I mean, we were turning down work and we're at capacity every single day for almost 2 years straight. And there wasn't the downtime. We didn't have a chance to work on anything. We were, I'm not going to say a shambles, but we learned a lot about where our opportunities were within the company during our busier times. Like this is where the breakdowns happen. This is where the communication stops. This is what we need to work on. So now, you make a great point. We're busier as owners during the downtime, getting all the systems into place so that when it ramps up again, hopefully we don't have the nightmares where we're out on the truck helping the crew unload at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Where we're doing sending an extra truck out there because the estimate wasn't done properly, where we don't have the right guys to be able to perform it or the equipment or things like that. Because, that was a tough 2 years. It was very profitable if you were able to, staff and whatnot through it. But at the same time, for me, it showed weaknesses in our company when we got that busy where the breakdowns happened and what we could do better.
Do you find that you're seeing some of those breakdowns this year coming around because you rode that, you saw some of the issues going on in your company to handle that capacity, but now you look at this year where maybe things are a little bit slower. You're looking at the housing market that's kind of dropped and going, wait a second, there's actually some other areas in our business that are broken or need a little bit of repairing, a little finesse. And is that something that's also, have you experienced that at all this summer?
I don't know how to properly verbalize this. I think once you have gotten to a certain point at anything you do in life, when you go down from that, it seems easier. Once we had done a revenue mark for the month, doing anything under that revenue mark, we've already done more. And doing under it, it seems a lot easier, and we've put so many systems into place that we've learned. We just aren't seeing it. It's just, it has become such a smooth operation by being, I guess, stress tested is the best word to use it. We were stress tested, and now, the biggest opportunity that we've been able to overcome, the employees took over the company.
Nice.
Because not in a good way. I'm sorry. Yeah, and not that we don't want our employees to be vested in the company, but the employees dictated what we did. We didn't dictate what they did because they had the reins. Here's what you're going to pay me. Here's when I'm going to work. Here's how I'm going to show up. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. We appreciate that. And we kind of had to hold our tongues and put up with some stuff that wasn't what we wanted it to be. And now in our area, the labor market has turned. We are in charge once again. And, not everybody has the best intentions for the company. A lot of people are selfish when they make decisions and, trying to make sure that we are there to be able to employ people.
Also seems a bit of a wake from the COVID
Yes.
era, the experience on that. What about you, Nick?
The original question was like when you're down, right? What are your fears like when it's slow?
Mainly in the first 6 months, let's say the first year, the first 6 months of getting Murdoch's going, up and running. What were some of the fears or obstacles that you were challenged with?
Yeah, so I was an owner-operator, so I think you hit the nail on the head when you're like you're not getting any calls. Like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not at the top of the list of any Google. Yelp is, a blank page. You don't have any reviews. There's nothing going on. You're like, how do I get this thing going? And that brings me, to where I was putting up flyers. I'm a firm believer in when things are slow, like Austin brought up, I pound the pavement. Yep. I spend as much time as I would be working pushing to get the jobs, to come in. Cause I want to be able, I got people that rely on me for, payroll, and they feed their families with this job, so it was just kind of back then we were a small company, right? It was 2-3 people that worked here, but still, I want to make sure that they, they stick around and just, that there's work to be done, and COVID was hold on for us too. I was holy shit, just to get guys to show up, and then God forbid they got COVID, and we are just stacked with jobs. It just was a madhouse. And then we also, to compound that, had a huge wildfire take out a town of about 25,000 people.
Wow.
And they got displaced.
Oh.
And so they needed places to go. So it was this everybody selling homes in Chico to the Paradise Fire victims. So all the Chico people are moving out. Of course, the Paradise people lost everything, so they're buying new stuff.
Oh, man.
We're delivering all that. It was a shit show. But anyway, just not being able to, employ the guys and keep the paychecks coming in.
Yeah. Never fun. Now, let's flip this up. I feel like we're getting into
Just a little stretch.
Get loose.
Let's get
let's
loose.
loosen up a little bit.
Go!
Let's get some chuga.
What is Lewis
Oh,
saying?
Chigan,
What is that?
Chigan.
Yeah. One of the worst fears, and I've seen it happen. You see the guys pulling out of the yard, and you're like, oh, fuck. the back door's open.
Oh, yeah.
Shit's about to fall out. That happened to you guys?
I actually did that to 2 men in a truck once. I saw them driving down the road, and I just pulled up. I was like, hey, your back door's open, right? I felt bad after I did it because they were like, oh, and they pull over.
Oh,
and they're
man.
like, I was like, I'm never doing that again.
That was nice. Yeah, so we were on a move, and all of a sudden, I'm taking a big left turn in the truck, and all I hear is just outside the back. And we shut the door. We did. Somehow, this thing magically opens. It's a huge toolbox of a client, and just flies out on the road. Like we're lucky it didn't fall on somebody's car. And so we're out in the middle of the road, picking up tools, picking up the toolbox, trying to load it back on the
Brutal.
truck. Like how it was just so weird, man. But yeah, that's a good one right there.
Didn't strap down the toolbox?
Nope.
First thing that came to
Not
my
that
mind too, right? Man, what happens? It's like always as they're running, leaving the yard, you're like, come on, you dumbass. You know what I mean? I guess it's just oh, I always make it a point, you check the back of the truck and go check it, that little extra effort. But yeah, I mean, it happens. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's happened, falling out of the truck. We always try to strap it down, even those toolboxes.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen my barn doors on some of those trucks just fly open. You're like, oh shit, pulling over. But yeah, I mean, it's always be safe, triple check them all. Yeah, pass it over to Josh here.
We've lost 3 half ramps
Oh no.
in the past year.
And several good movers surfing on it, or
Well, I'm sorry, say that again.
several good movers surfing on the ramps? coming out
No.
of the truck?
It was we have gone into technology with the cameras all over the place on the trucks at the warehouse, and we actually had some guys, and they were in a brand new truck just a month ago, and they were traveling from North Carolina up to New York, and somewhere along the way, both their ramps got gone. So I think that one was actually a theft. I think they pulled over, and I checked their GPS for all their stops, and they pulled into a big truck stop, and I think somebody actually got
Stole the ramp.
yeah, stole the ramps out of it because they had real good latches on it. But we've had another truck that the latches weren't, and we got very fortunate. A car ran over on the highway one of our ramps. It destroyed the ramp, but it didn't do any damage to the car. So that the next day we had a welder come in and put new. We did a lot of work on the trucks because that was scary. It was very scary to think of a ramp disabling a car, especially during a rush. So there's a lot of liability. Our previous owner always used to talk about the liability that goes with these huge trucks with all this weight going down the road. So it's always present in my mind, to think about that and to double check. So, and it's
I always think now you got dash cams, you got backup cams. You almost need a cam for inside the truck.
Yeah.
they've got
We had
side cams now.
No, but inside the box. We had a guy that didn't strap down a pallet jack. And it got secured. I'll tell you how it got secured, because he slammed so hard that the forks went
through.
right into the truck box.
Yep.
And just got jammed there, and you're just shaking your head going come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
I got to tell on myself. We were in 2 spaces on a warehouse, and one of our forklifts had gone down, and you couldn't drive through to them. So both of them had loading docks, and I pulled the forklift onto the loading dock, onto the truck to take it down to the other one, and I didn't hit the e-brake. And I turned and I pulled out, and I was going down, and everybody started waving at me, and the forklift, it got caught on its tail, but it was sitting on the end of the truck. Now, it was in our parking lot,
shit.
but I mean, imagine the damage a forklift. I mean, you would have ruined the forklift. I would have ruined the forklift. I don't know why I'm trying to blame this on. It was all me. I did all of it, but it was just in a rush, one of those knucklehead things. So, I want to get mad at the guys. I want to say but, when I don't take my time and do everything like I'm supposed to do it, I'm just as liable to make a mistake. So I try not to be too hard on the guys. I know mistakes happen. Sometimes it seems like, geez, oh, peas, that was common sense.
Yeah.
But then I look at myself, and I make mistakes too. So I'm glad that forklift didn't fall out of the truck.
Oh yeah.
Do you lock down your ramps now too? You got a little padlock for those?
We don't use a padlock. We use cotter pins. We've got the carabiners, I think they're called, the switches. But everything is much more secured, and it's a constant thing that we check during dispatch just to make sure.
Awesome. We're going to wrap this up, guys.
Yeah. We got to go to dinner tonight.
We got
STK.
dinner. We got plans. We got things happening. But before we do, because you know me, I love the random questions. Weirdest item you've ever moved. We talked about sex toys, but what's the weirdest item? Can't say box. That's a pretty standard.
Yeah. This is a pretty tough one. You think about weirdest, and it's like, what is really the weirdest thing you've ever moved? Mikal, you looking like you're really thinking here.
No, I'm trying to recall. Yeah, I know we've moved some weird shit, but I need to take a second and think about the weirdest.
Like,
I know it's tough, right? Like we've moved like an elephant. We moved like a small train.
I got it.
there we go. Had to get him kind of juicing up.
A train.
Wow.
Yeah, like
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, like one of those like amusement park. They had like a train, and we loaded this thing on the back of our truck and moved it, and we thought it was the funniest thing. Like we have a train inside of a moving truck box, right?
Yeah.
So my weirdest thing that I've ever moved, and I actually personally drove this one too. So I moved this lady, and she has this chicken coop in the back. She's moving to the Bay Area from Chico, and I'm like, okay, no problem. We can take the chicken coop. And she's all with the chickens in it. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, man, I can't move livestock, farm animals. Like, what? And it's like middle of summer. It's like 110, And I'm like, those poor chickens are going to roast. Like, we're going to have some KFC. But instead, I'm, of course, go above and beyond. And I get up at like 4 a.m., loaded the truck the day before, taped off an area for the chicken coop, went back at 4 a.m., loaded this chicken coop up, put the damn chickens in it, and we took off, and every chicken made it. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt so bad. I did this move for one of my good friends, and he always never lets me forget it. And we were moving from BC to Alberta. It was around winter time, and his daughter had a goldfish.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I said, okay, this little goldfish is going to ride shotgun with me. So he was moving up to a little town called Fort McMurray, and I'm stopping the night in Edmonton. And I'm getting a hotel, I'm in there, and the next morning I go out and I see this poor goldfish frozen in the jar.
Probably still alive, though.
No, I wish it was, and I did not have the heart to tell him. We got to the delivery, and by that time it had de-thawed, thankfully, and I just put it down on the kitchen table and said, dude, I'm really sorry. And he looked at me and he's like, you owe me a goldfish. And I think I still owe him a goldfish for 10 years later. Poor guy. But yeah, it was one of the funniest little animals. You were talking about chickens, so it totally reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you?
So yeah, no, I've done the chicken coop game. I was going to mention that. But so I guess it's not the weirdest, but like the weirdest like thing that I hate to move, I don't know, is like a German shrunk or something that has like 30 different pieces and so intricate, but I don't really have like the chicken coop's a weird thing. It's hard to kind of recall that kind of question. Austin, I'm sure you got something though.
I honestly think like it's like there's so much shit that challenges that are faced our way. It's like that stuff just like doesn't even stand out anymore. It's just like, oh my God.
Right.
I see the dumbest shit that my guys do sometimes,
time.
and I'm just like, not even like, oh, it's just another Monday at the office, Weirdest thing, I can't actually think of anything off the top of the head. I'd say one of the weirdest ones was like this giant, like bronze, like horse, man. And it was a dog to move. That one stood out for sure. Just like manhandling this horse, like it's like on this little pedestal, super heavy. I'm like, don't dolly that. And so I'm like limping it over, I think like funny story about a weird item. Like I remember Murdoch back in the day, he was like, hey, help me move this pool table. And, so I'm like, okay. So we're like in this person's garage and we got this open trailer, with like one of those latches that pops down. And I was like, dude, that's not a pool table. That thing's a fucking monster. It was a giant, like, European pool table. And this is, like, before we knew how to move this kind of shit. And we had to, like, just inch it and put it on, like, car jacks and just inch it into the trailer. And then the guys at the dump, you know, I'm like, get this bitch out of here, you know, because it's a junk removal job. And, you know, they're like, you're just going to throw that away? And we're like, hell yeah, we're going to throw that away.
Yeah.
All right.
We've still got it in our warehouse. A customer called us. They were moving down from upstate New York, and the father had been a hunter, and he had done some Canadian trips. And we have a 7.5 foot crate, 7.5 feet in every direction, that has a full moose rack on it, and it's big. It's very big. It's 7.5 feet wide crate to be able to fit that, and oh boy, what a unique item!
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Each one of you guys, let's start with Nick. Give me a 45-second elevator pitch about your business. Go. Time's up. No, I'm joking. All right. Go for it.
Who am I pitching it to?
You're pitching it to our listeners. Let's push yourself. You are talking to a bunch of realtors.
Okay.
What would you say in 45 seconds about your business?
So, you know, we do residential, commercial, local, long distance. You know, we like to consider ourselves a premier white glove delivery, very, you know, high end, you know, moving service. We're not just your average Joe. You know, from start to finish, from office staff to crew members, you know, we really like to go above and beyond. You know, our communication is key, and we just really like to, you know, it's not just, you know, movers are movers, but, you know, we like to provide customer service rather than just moving, you know, and just, you know, like Lewis says, make raving fans out of our clients. So that's what I would pitch.
Nice. Josh? Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
I guess the most important thing that we convey as a company is that we're there. You know, all of the office staff, when they call up, they communicate with everybody. It's the same people that are going to their house that are going to show up. We're going to go the extra mile. We're going to participate in it. It's not something where you book the move and you don't hear from us anymore until the movers show up. Like, there's a lot of communication that goes into it. And after the move, you know, if there's anything that you need, if I'm in the office and I hear the phone ring more than twice, I'm picking up the phone and I'm solving the problem, whatever it is. I don't hand it over to somebody else to take care of it. So we're a very hands-on, personable moving company, you know, and that's what it takes to be successful in my mind.
Nice. Austin, you have 45 seconds.
Actually,
That's it.
I'm actually doing 15. Central Coast Moving, an innovative business, focuses on peace of mind. I love this industry. We do local and long distance moving, specializing in mobile storage. Thank you.
Ooh, mic drop. Boom.
Boom, baby.
Drop it out. Yeah, I don't know if I can go with a quick 45 on I Haul, I Move, because, I mean, we start all sounding very similar. We're a white glove mover. We want to take your stuff. We want a pad rack.
Glad I went first.
Yeah, so you have the beauty of going first, man. So it's a lot of pressure that I'm just going to say everything you guys just said, or at least some of it. You know, so it's tough, you know what I mean? But, you know, obviously, I Haul, I Move is a great company. I really believe in the stuff that we do. I've gotten a lot of inspiration from you guys, like just hanging out with you guys. So the elevator pitch is make good friends and have people that support you. Like, it's huge. So thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Love it.
Well,
Definitely.
on that note, I want to thank Nick, Josh, Austin, and Matt for joining us on the debut episode 1 of Movified. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in and listening to us ramble for this time. And for those movers out there, those moving company owners, check us out. We're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, but most importantly, book in your time on movified.ca or find us on Instagram and Facebook. Here's to many more tales and moving stories. Stay movified.
Let's go. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Let's
Thanks,
go.
guys.
Love it.